Good morning, YouTube. Seagate 1 terabyte HDD. And this is a SATA bus. Okay, so modern compared to IDE, right? Still just as pokey as all hard drives are, anyways. But I talked to you guys about the Western Digital My Passport Ultra Drive and mentioned I would be talking about these as well. So I decided to check them over and just reformat them just for the hell of it. Check the health statistics on them, and actually we're going to go through these as independent videos because they are specific because of brand. And this one came out as good with under 3,000 hours on it, which is pretty good. So not a ton of use on this drive. Mind you, these did come from customers' laptops. They gave them to me because we upgraded them, and they're like, I don't want it, you can have it. So I'm like, sweet. All right. Anyways, health is listed as good on them, okay, on this drive, and it is still very low runtime hours. Works perfect, so it's going to be a good viable drive for a long time now. Anyways, SSDs go, I guess, by percentage, and HDDs go by good or fair or poor or whatever. Temperature, though, also very low, runs ice cold, which is good, or as ice cold as it gets for an HDD. So yeah, I would say, like, if you're looking at just buying a independent HDD, now I am staying non-biased because I'm not a fan of HDDs, but I do have some, and that's just the way it is. So I will be fair, and that means this gets a 4 out of 5. I have no idea what it costs to buy this thing as an independent drive. You know, I didn't bother to look that up. You can if you want, but this is only 1 terabyte. My recommendation, however, would be that if you're only looking for a terabyte of storage, you'll still get an HDD likely cheaper than an SSD, but the SSD is going to be like 5 to 10 times faster for access, both directions. It's just a lot of people like HDDs, all right? And that's completely fine. It's your thing, it's up to you, okay? I'm just an SSD fan, and that's all there is to it. But I will probably be putting this to use because I do have a case for it. I actually have cases that'll fit a couple of these in them, and I will probably be putting this thing into use for some purpose or another because it's still good and viable. I'm not going to throw it in the garbage, and to sell it privately just in this form, because no case, I'm not going to get very much for it. So it's kind of like, why bother selling it at this point? I can actually make use of it, and because it has such low run hours on it, this thing is still going to last for several years to come, right? So I kind of got to look at that aspect. As long as I don't drop it, it'll be fine, because they are fragile. They're very fragile. But for, given the age of this drive, which I think it might be marked on the drive when it was manufactured, and it's been in the computer since then up until the last year, but this one here was 2016. So that's only about an 8-year-old drive, you know, so that's 8-9-year-old drive. That's not bad. That's pretty decent for the low run hours. A lot of the customers I deal with, they are, I wouldn't call them old. They're some of them tend to be a couple years older than me, and some of them a little bit younger, or around the same age, and they really don't do much on their computers. But when a computer starts getting very sluggy, as far as, oh my gosh, it's taking forever to load Windows, which it will, okay, you kind of want to upgrade, right? So an SSD can bring new life into a computer. It can even make an old timer just go, it's there. It's like launching programs, it's there. So a lot of people just, you know, they don't have a lot of use on it, but it's sluggy. It's slow to launch apps. I mean, great for backup purposes, yes, but as a running device in a computer to run an OS on these things, nowadays, no way. I mean, even Windows 11 on an HDD literally takes, it seems like forever to get it to the desktop. Then try to launch programs. Oh my gosh, it's horrifying. So, you know, but good for backup purposes, definitely. And Seagate, though, a really good brand out there. I did have bad luck with my last one, so I'm a little bit turned off. Considering the amount of money I spent on it, and I think it was probably either a 2 or 4 terabyte, I can't remember. It is on my channel, but it did let me down, was not happy, okay? This thing is definitely older, than the other one. So it's going to be one of the more reliable Seagates from back in the day, because Seagate used to be really good stuff. And this would have been that time period when they were still a really good company producing HDDs. So anyway, that's my take on it. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. And if you do find any of these things used, check the hours. This one has around, I think this one was like, yeah, this one was the one that was just shy of 3,000 hours. You can check that with Crystal Disk. I think it's called Crystal Disk Mark or something, Crystal Disk something or other. There's two programs. They both Crystal Disk whatever. One of them is for checking the health statistic. I don't memorize names of stuff all the time, sorry. But you'll find it, and it'll check your, you can get the one that checks the speed, which this is nothing to write home about, but definitely the health thing, you want to know the runtime hours. Now, hard drives are not measured by terabytes of use for read and write cycles like SSDs definitely are, okay? These are more of, there is some written information, but the biggest thing is the runtime hours is what I would be more concerned about. And the main, you know, is it good or is it, you know, crappy? Like if it's not saying good and it's lower than good, run. Okay, it's not going to be reliable anymore, and it's a drive that has a lot of hours on it too. So for that, I would say run from those. But this, pretty decent. Okay, not a big deal. It's one of the thicker versions, probably because it is a terabyte. I have a half a terabyte one here we're going to be reviewing next. It's a Western Digital. It's almost half the thickness, but it's only half a terabyte too, so I don't really think it makes that much difference, but who knows? You never know. But yeah, there you go. That's our Seagate for us. That's my score rating on it. Hey, if you've got one of these things yourself, don't throw it away. Check and see what the health condition is on it. If it still says good, even if you have like 5,000 or 10,000 hours on it, it's not a big deal. These things can run for a long, long time. They are good for backups, but just remember, it is going to take a long time to get your crap on there. It's going to take equally as long to get it back off to report it back. But for backup purposes, a lot of people still love hard drives, even though they're slow, but they do work. So, hey, you know, there you go. Just don't pay much for a used one unless it says good. Now, what would I pay for this? Well, it is an HDD without a case. I would probably say somewhere about $20, $25 tops, in good condition according to the program, and with lower hours. Okay, the lower the hours, the better condition that thing really actually is in. So that's the thing. But like I said, if it shows up lesser than good, run, man, because that thing is not going to be reliable. It is on its last legs, so it's not going to be reliable for much longer once they hit the red zone. Okay, so just keep that in mind, and we'll see you on the next video. Ciao.